المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. واشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، واشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه. أدى الأمانة ونصح لهذه الأمة فتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. عباد الله اتقوا Allah. Dear servants of Allah, dear slaves of Allah, those of you who have submitted their life and death to Allah, be mindful of Allah. Be conscious of Allah. Regard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your highest regard. اتق الله حيثما كنت. Be mindful of Allah wherever you are. And understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watchful over you. Understand that He knows everything about you. يعلم السر والعلانية عالم الغيب والشهادة لا تخفى عنه خافية. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of all of your affairs, internal and external. That which you propagate, that which you show and demonstrate, and that which you conceal and you wouldn't dare to even speak or mention around anyone, not a shadow, not a whisper. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and put your hope in Him Jalla fi ulah, and understand that if you submit your will, your life and your death to Him, you have a guarantee. This guarantee did not come from any entity, any company, any bank, any institution. It comes from the Creator of all creations. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون لهم البشرى. You have the glad tidings if you believe in Allah and you have taqwa in Him. Nothing, no evil will befall you. No harm, no huzn, no sadness will touch you. You have glad tidings في الدنيا والآخرة. لهم البشرى في الدنيا وفي الآخرة. لا إله إلا الله. Allahu Akbar. I ask and I beg of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the glad tidings in this world and in the next. I ask and I beg of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of the muttaqeen. Allahumma ameen. Dear servants of Allah, understand that the greatest words are the words of Allah. And there are words that cannot be rivaled, cannot be matched, cannot be fabricated, cannot be altered. They are the words of Allah. And the greatest of all guidance is the guidance of Muhammad Abul Qasim sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, an unlettered Arab man who was a shepherd in the deserts of the Sahara, who has never written or spoken a poem in his entire life, as-Sadiq al-Amin, the most truthful and honorable of all the Arabs. And he was given the divine decree, the words of Allah, the Quran al-Kareem. And he was given qimmatul akhlaq, the highest of etiquette and adab, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. If you seek to take a qudwa, a role model, if you seek to follow the footsteps of any man, you cannot find a better man than Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Not in the generations before, the generations after. Salawatu Rabbi wa salamuhu alayhi. And he advised us that the worst of all the matters, the most destructive of all the matters, are the innovations and fabrications that people try to embed into this pure, blessed deen. They strand from opinions and cultures not backed from the Quran or the Sunnah, the two vital points of evidence that we have that we must cling on to. Any practice that does not coincide with his practice, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, will be rejected on Yawm al-Qiyamah. كل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that evil. اللهم آمين. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الصحيح: لتتبعن سنن من قبلكم شبرا بشبر وذراعا بذراع حتى لو سلكوا حجر ضب لسلكتموه. Every now and then I try to imagine this scene and how it played out as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is talking to the Sahaba, the most noble of all the people, because they were chosen to accompany the most noble of all men, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he said to them, you will follow, listen to this, you will follow the ways and the methodology of those before you, footstep by footstep, arm by arm, hand by hand. You will mimic their every move. You will shadow them. And he's speaking to who? Al-Mubashsharuna bil-Jannah. These are the Sahaba who have been granted Jannah. These are the Sahaba who have sacrificed everything for this deen. As-Siddiqun, Al-Faruq, Al-Mardiyun. He said, you will follow the methodology, the ways of those before you, footstep by footstep, arm by arm. Even if one of them were to crawl into the crevice, the burrow of a dhab, a lizard, a narrow crevice, a small cave, ضيق ومندن, smelling, disgusting and despicable, you would follow them in. The Sahaba were shocked. They said, Ya Rasulullah. They couldn't believe this, because it strikes the mind. How would someone follow the people that were destroyed before? How would someone follow the millah, the methodology of those who failed before? You see, Islam came to revitalize humanity. Islam came to rejuvenate and to compel success for all mankind. And the Sahaba understood and adopted this. They knew they were the leaders of today and tomorrow. And those from yesterday, they're gone. Their empires were finished. Their ideologies were tarnished. So they said, how? Ya Rasulullah, are you referring to the Jews and the Christians? Are you referring to those who fabricated and altered their books? Are you referring to those who killed their prophets? Are you referring to those who caused blasphemy on the land? Are you referring to those who spread disease and bloodshed? He said, فَمَنْ? Who else? And this is where we are today. You see, the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim, they understood that they are the leaders of today and tomorrow. And they understood that with this deen, they would succeed. Forever. Forever. Not just for generations. نحن قوما أعزنا الله بالإسلام. We are a people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has glorified, has empowered with what? Money? Numbers? What? Nasab? Bil-Islam. with this deen. And if we seek an alternative means to empower ourselves, أذلنا Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put our faces in the dirt just as we are right now. The Sahaba were shocked. They were dumbfounded. How could this be? How? How would the time come where the Muslim, mu'azzaz, mukarram, yattabi' Yahudi, Nasrani? How? It's unfathomable. But here we have people today that cannot be distinguished. The brother is a Muslim, the sister is a Muslimah, but you cannot distinguish her from the Christians or the Jews. You cannot distinguish the difference between him and John and Paul and Mark. Same walk, same talk, same brand, same everything. And we have been advised to distinguish ourselves from the Yahud and Nasara. This is in our deen, in the legislation of Allah. And what if I were to shock you and tell you that this was in all of the legislations before? For the Jews themselves distinguished themselves from the Christians, and the Christians themselves distinguished themselves from the Jews. Why do you think the Gregorian calendar came to be? The Gregorian calendar in itself, by the way, is flawed, marred. It is so mathematically incorrect. And who founded this calendar? The Jesuit priests and the Catholics in the 1580s by Pope Gregory himself. And they wanted to fix the mistakes of the Julian calendar. That was also marred and flawed mathematically. But more so, they wanted to distinguish themselves from the Jews. This is why we have the Gregorian calendar today. Because they would never accept that if Easter were to fall on the same day as Passover. Because how could two religious days fall on the same day? And one belongs to the Christians and the other belongs to the Jews. The Christians wouldn't have it. So they said, we're going to make a calendar in order to settle this once and for all. They would never want to have the celebration of Easter on the day of Passover, because that would coincide with the Jews. They wanted to distinguish themselves. But here we have Muslims. Fatima is getting ready for the ball. All the invitations, the cards, and the venues. Umar's got a plan. He's got it all planned out. He's going to drop maybe a rack or two just for one evening of celebration. نسأل الله العفو والعافية في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. أقول ما تسمعون استغفر الله لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. عباد Allah, dear servants of Allah, I advise myself primarily than all of you. And it is only for the love and for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are gathered in this blessed masjid. And it is only for the love and the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I counsel myself and all of you. The celebrations, the venues, the greetings, the gifts, the cards, what are we doing? I often ask myself, and so many of us, just right now we finished the janazah after the first Salatul Jumu'ah. Before even the janazah began, people were chit-chat and this, that, laughing and talking, as if though everything is absolutely normal. There is a deceased male Muslim who is going to be questioned in mere hours. And we're just chatting, laughing. I ask and I beg of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on him and all of us and all of the Muslims who passed. And after the janazah, he's being carried out. Sallama nafsah, he has nothing, he can't say stop, please wait. La khalas. Dar al-amal is over, Dar al-jazaa awaits. And we are just chatting, laughing, walking, talking. ماتت القلوب. Our hearts died. Because we're always looking to celebrate, to commemorate, to have fun. Huh? But I ask you by Allah, and if you can give me one answer, I'll celebrate with you. Huh? What are we celebrating? And who are we celebrating with? Are we celebrating the lies brought to us by the biggest liars who run this world? Are we celebrating the apartheid and the constant occupation of Palestine? Are we going to celebrate the earth's destruction? Are we celebrating the earth's destruction with all of the diseases and the natural disasters and the plagues? Are we celebrating starvation and famine? Are we celebrating the war against Muslims in Islam? Are we celebrating the war against morality, the war against humanity? What are we celebrating? Tell me that. What are you celebrating? You're going to do the countdown and you have a resolution? Taqillah. Be mindful of Allah. Don't just follow like this. You are the leaders of today and tomorrow. Uqsim billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the greatest honor. It is the deen of Allah and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. نسأل الله أن يردنا إليه ردا جميلا. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا اللهم فيمن توليت. رحماك اللهم بالأطفال اليتامى والنساء الثكالى والشباب الحيارى. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم حرر فلسطين وحرر الأقصى. اللهم احقن دماء المسلمين. اللهم ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. ثبت أقدامنا على صراطك المستقيم على هدي الصادق الأمين. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك وأنعم على النبي المصطفى على الرسول المجتبى وعن آله وأصحابه أجمعين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة.